aim my camera, my miraculous weapon, as I call it, to bring our collective humanity into focus on the screen. With my camera, I don't shoot, I heal. Dry White Season. Some people saw that movie. Okay. So it's very, for the people who don't know the movie, it's about South Africa, about apartheid. And you know, when you say South Africa apartheid, I don't have to make any picture. You know what I'm talking about. And Mandela was still in jail. And I couldn't accept the idea of being a filmmaker and also a black filmmaker who had a huge success with Sugarcane Alley, and not make a movie about South Africa. So I managed. It's a long story, but we make it short. I managed, and thanks to a good friend of Dr. Mandela, the Nelson Mandela. He was a doctor. I met him in Paris. And I told him I want to go to South Africa. I want to make research. And I went to South Africa with his help. He organized it for me. And I was able to meet people who had been tortured, children, old people, young people, to testify. So I recorded them. I went back home and I wrote the screenplay. And I made that movie produced by MGM, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. What made me the first black director, who did female director, who was produced by a Hollywood studio at that time. But I did that, and I'm telling you that all the research that I made, I would say not destroyed me, but could destroy me. When I made that movie, after I went back home, I wrote the script, and the movie came out. I'm telling you, I was not just a normal person after that. I was just like, I was sick. And one day, Francis Ford Coppola, that he was a friend, and still a friend, but at the time, he was. So we were talking, and he was telling me how I was doing, and I said, well, not too well. And he said, but, why don't you come to see me? I'm shooting the last Godfather, you see. So, and I said, okay, so invited me to go to Sicily on his shooting. And while I was in the plane, something, I don't know why it happened, but that happened to me. I was in the plane on my way to him, and I closed my eyes and I had some music. And I saw, it was crazy. I saw pictures, little girl, I saw this old man, a lot of stuff in my head, with the music. And I started I wanted to write everything, and that's how Siméon was born, in that plane. And I remember, you see when you travel, you have these bags that they put in front of you if you want to vomit or whatever you want to do. But anyway. So I used that to write everything that came to my mind. And I remember I asked her to give me some more. And I said, no, as many as you can. And she understood what I was doing, I was writing. And she came with 20 of them. And she gave that to me, and I opened them. And I started to write everything that would come through my mind. And that's how, Siméon, the idea of Siméon to form. And after that, I work on the script and with a friend, and Jean-Pierre was my complice. Because I did that, that was a cue for me. After I'd done that, I felt much better, stronger, and more joyful. And I think that people who saw Siméon, because that movie had a lot of success, because they just stand, I mean, you see the big scene now with all those people, it's Zenith in Paris. I shot in Zenith. Kassav was having a concert there, and I said, okay, I need you guys to do something because I'm here to film. I put some of my characters up front, and then I asked everybody if you agree. Everybody said, oh yeah. And then the people you see that they are not fake, they are not I. And they are real. They are real people, they are just like, and when I say, I want you to scream Siméon, everybody in the Zenith, 6,000 people standing and screaming Siméon. You see, and it's a great gift for the band, because they really deserve that. Yes. Béroard, she still exists, and there is the guy with, I don't remember the name of that instrument, the keyboard, and Nemo is still alive, and there are the rest, but those guys, I mean, 3 of them died. Anyway, so that's why I decided to use them, to put them in the movie, and through the eyes of that little girl. She's the one who's telling us the story. That's why you have the subway, because she's building that story. She said, okay, that because the spirit, I don't even know if he will come back, and maybe they are telling me crap, because I'm too little to understand things and everything. So I'm going now to tell you what I think that is happening. So that's why the whole movie is through the eyes of that little girl. Yeah, click! Yeah, crack! Yeah, Mr. Click! Yeah, Mr. Crack! Click! Crack! Ababoo!
I think the call and response aspect comes into play with how Siméon is kept around. Because I think the call comes from the people, the living, and I think he only sticks around as long as they would want him there. And I think even when her dad was like, leave, he left, right? But when he was like, come back, he came right back. So it was like that connection of, and like, if you call me, I'm gonna respond, I'm gonna pull up as your ancestor. Like if you need me and you respect me, and you brave enough to reach out for me, I'm definitely gonna answer your call. And we're gonna make magic. It felt like magic throughout the movie, and that, like, the animation aspect of it gave me that magical, whimsical, fantasy feeling. So everything was connected. Exactly. Even the crystal crack, right? All that connected. Everything was just aligned in this movie. Everything made sense. So.
Yes, but I wonder, did anyone else make anything of the moment when Siméon, he dies by reaching for the moon? And I'm wondering, like, it felt to me almost like the culmination then of like what was able to come to pass, and like almost what he gave birth to by way of all of these others who continued to call on him, somehow felt tied back to that moment, that willingness of like, yes, of course we know that it was because there was a celebration, it was in like a drunken kind of state, but there was also something that was like this reaching out and this belief in, or this just like yearning to grab onto something that felt almost impossible. And I don't know what I make of that, but I just wondered if that stood out to anyone else at all.
I think right before that, he was talking to some of the elders, or not even the elders. They were like, these women, it'll bring you to your grave. And him, like Moon as mistress, don't fall, like,
exactly. This like illusion.
He was like that, and he was already such a spirit in the movie. He was already an ancestor. Like we are walking amongst like already ancestors sometimes, and I think that was such a, like, he reached for it and he got it, like the completion of his story, and that, like, to achieve and grab something that big, he couldn't be standing on Earth, is what I saw that moment as. Is like he he didn't like die. He actually like started the journey toward whatever he's reaching for. But yeah, it was such a beautiful. I mean, for him he didn't die of like, oh, he was too drunk, or it was violent, or there was a car crash. Like, it was just his continuous search for beauty, and then everyone else continued that search for it.
And it was beautiful. And it was all beautiful.
I really enjoyed the feminine themes like in the movie, and I like, especially when Miss Palcy was talking about women's roles. And I remember the procession scene where they're like first carrying Siméon, and he's like dressed in this beautiful decked out satin pink suit, and we like audibly gasped watching him come out.
Literally,
like, wow, like this color. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I've never seen like pink associated with a sort of celebration like that. It's usually white or black, I guess, in the Western tradition. But even the like coffin being like pink satin, like those look sort of like very like
ribbons.
Yeah,
the ribbons. I think it was the ribbons.
Fabrics.
It was very festive.
And then like
Like the drum circle and like his
coffin right in the middle, and it's like I was telling Mom that it made like it reminded me of like Labia. I was like, this is kind of like the like birth story, but also you return back in the same way that you come into the world.
I think there's a certain visual language that this film and Black Orpheus, have you guys seen it? The Brazilian, it's also a musical as well too. It's a really powerful film.
She picked it in her Criterion closet, actually.
Of course.
She loves that movie.
There's a very similar visual language in terms of like the warmth of the image, the role that the young girl plays in not necessarily being a guide in the world of the living and the dead, but musicality plays a big part in Black Orpheus. It plays a big part in this film as well too. They're both, I mean, Black Orpheus is in Brazil, this is in Martinique. There's this strong reverence for also African spirituality as well too. Like, I don't know, I feel like I need to watch Black Orpheus again.
I'll watch it with you.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
I also love what you said, Vinny. It's making me think about just in this film the music as a figure, or like the music, the spirit of it. Like at the end, they're at the concert, and Isodore calls on Siméon and everyone to start chanting his name, but it's specifically Siméon, the spirit of music. And so it's like just thinking again about that kind of embodiment or like personification.
Yeah.
How did it feel? Because Daria has seen Roselyne, the character of Roselyne in person, live.
So I must say a shout out to my dear. We were in Martinique and actually saw Kassav perform at Tropique, which is an iconic cultural center and venue on the island. It felt like a kind of raucous like chorus of voices, but also of energy. And so then to see that in this film and to kind of replay that on a sensorial level was really emotional. I actually shared that with Madame Palcy. I was like, you got me balling over here.
Absolutely.